Today is on the gifts that we bring. Today's December 1st. We are officially into the season. Right, we put our tree up yesterday. We got our tree up here waiting to be decorated later. It's that time of year. We're in the season. So December 1st is the first day of Advent. And Advent was about the time leading up to the birth of the Christ child, or the birth of the light into this world. And actually, the birth of the light, it has been happening for thousands and thousands of years. Even prior to the birth of Jesus, we saw the winter solstice as the birth of the light into this world. And so we chose, I think this is why the date of Christmas time, because 2,000 years ago, December 25th was the winter solstice. And it was chosen as the date that we would honor a remarkable teacher. Okay, so this is why Jesus' birthday is said to be on December 25th, even though a lot of sources say it's in springtime. But he was a remarkable man whose mission was to teach all of us, to teach everybody how we are all the light, all of us. He taught everything that he could do, anybody could do. Right? This was his mission. So, right now we celebrate through Advent, like in all month long, we are celebrating the return of the light. And we're celebrating that return of the light through each of us, that each of us are birthing that light into the world. Each of us are more greatly embodying the Christ consciousness every day. Like when we practice all this stuff we talk about, we more greatly embody the Christ consciousness. And this is bringing the light into the world. Now, this time of year is kind of special time to do that, because as the days are getting darker and we're getting closer to the solstice, to Christmas Eve, to Christmas Day, we start feeling that sense of expectancy. And I mean, we can feel it. Like there is an energetic shift that starts happening, and it'll start happening here pretty soon. But we feel this sense of expectancy. And so it's a season for us to turn within, because it's a season of gift giving, right? So we turn within and we examine, we look, what are the gifts that we are giving to this world? How are we sharing our light? Right? Are we sharing our light? Are we embodying the Christ consciousness? Or have we slipped into lack consciousness? Have we slipped into this limitation feeling? Right? Because we want to move through that. Our whole mission on this planet is to share our light. And so we share our light by continually evolving ourselves, creating more goodness, creating more love, just bringing more light into the world. So Advent is just a time of year where we can all look at that. We look at the gifts we're bringing. Now, the journey of Advent starts with hope and faith, right? Hope and faith get this whole cycle of the rebirth of light going. Hope and faith. But I'm going to talk about faith first, because there are actually two kinds of hope. There's a hope that propels us into creating more good in this world. But surprisingly, there's a kind of hope that keeps us stuck in lack consciousness, right? You didn't know that about hope, did you? I didn't. Like when I was first understanding that, I was like, whoa, I thought hope was always a good thing. Hope is not always a good thing. Sometimes it's lack consciousness. It just depends on where we stand in our faith, how hope will express itself. So I'm going to talk about faith. So faith basically is belief. At its most basic level, it is belief, but it's so much more than that. See, we can believe all kinds of things. We can believe, like we just know tomorrow morning the sun's going to rise. It always does, every single day. That's been our experience. For me, I have the belief that Amazon will deliver like they say they will, because, you know what, overall, that's been my experience with them. You know, not everybody will say that, but like they're amping up their game. Yesterday, I got like a notice, like every time the guy made a new stop. I mean, I was expecting Amazon to say, like it's 9 stops away, 7 stops away. He's eating a sandwich 4 stops away. Like it's really, really, you know, we're really learning a lot about these people. So yeah, I believe that Amazon will deliver. But see, our belief is intellectual. Our belief is based on our past experiences. So when we have a belief about something, we have a reason that we believe it. Okay, now the thing about beliefs is that because we're basing our beliefs on past experiences or what we think we know, well, we don't always know, really, so our beliefs can be wrong. A belief can be wrong. Beliefs can be incorrect even when we think we've gathered all the data. Like, we can be so wrong. Think about this fad in the late 80s, early 90s. Fat-free is healthy. Okay, you remember fat-free was a healthy way to eat? I was young and impressionable, and I remember walking into the grocery store, and you know how this time, and it was this time of year, you walk in and there's all that food that you'll need for the holidays, right? So it's all the evaporated milk and the candy and the sugar and the marshmallows and all that. I zoomed in on the marshmallows, and it said on the package, fat-free. And I thought, wow, these are special marshmallows. I didn't know that marshmallows are always fat-free. And I don't even know if that was always on the packaging or if they were just jumping on the fat-free bandwagon. But in my young, impressionable mind, marshmallows are healthy. That's what went into my mind. Marshmallows are healthy. It's healthier to eat a bag of marshmallows than to have cheese and peanut butter and or something, right? Now, I was able to get off of this easy enough. It's probably because I went to school for holistic healing. But, you know, my aunt, up until the last few years of her life, she passed in 16, she still believed that fat-free yogurt was the healthiest option. And I would tell her, I'm like, you know, fat-free yogurt has like 10 times the sugar. She's like, but it's fat-free. I'm like, Annie Joy, it's 10 times the sugar because fat-free tastes so bad. You have to pour a ton of sugar in there so people will eat it. Okay, so see, some people still, like, it's a belief that just couldn't be changed. Is it a correct belief? No. But we don't have to have a correct belief for it to be that solidly ingrained into our consciousness. Remember in the 50s when everybody thought cigarettes were safe? Like, because your doctor would smoke, right? You could go into your doctor's office and they'd all be smoking while they examined you, okay? So, I mean, they'd carry cigarettes around in their pocket to advertise them. Okay, so beliefs can limit us. Beliefs can limit us because we don't know all the facts and we don't know what we don't know. Okay, that's a big thing right there. We do not know what we don't know. So belief can limit us, but a belief can also set us free. And the belief that sets us free is a belief that is partnered with faith. Okay, so faith is what makes our beliefs powerful. Now, faith is a belief, but it is also spiritual, and it is characterized by a solid assurance. We are 150% sure something is going to happen. We don't know how, and we don't know when. It could be Monday or Friday. We just know it's going to happen. We believe that solidly. So belief is based on facts, evidence, experience. Faith is about trusting and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that something is going to happen in your life. You will create an experience. So belief without faith can look like, well, I know what I want, but I think it would be too hard for me to create it. I mean, I'd love to learn how to ride a Lipizzan stallion, but I don't know, I'm kind of old, or maybe I'm too tall, or maybe I'm too short, or like maybe there are no Lipizzans around here, so I don't know how I would learn to ride one, right? Okay, so that's belief without faith, but belief with our faith, we know what we want, and we believe that somehow we will be guided in how to accomplish that. So we believe it 100%, because we remind ourselves, I don't know how to do a thing, but there's that within that knows what to do and how to do it. And it compels me to act on what it knows. So it, that indwelling spirit, our soul, the Holy Spirit, the universe, God, higher being, whatever you want to call it, it knows everything and it directs us. This is divine direction. This is intuition. We'll know the next thing to do. In Hebrews 11, the first verse, this is, I think you've all heard this. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Okay, we've all heard that. I went deeper into this verse a few years ago in the Lamsa translation Bible, which I believe and have faith is the best translation Bible, okay? This is what it says. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, as it was the substance of things which have come to pass, and it is the evidence of things not seen. For it is through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen came to be from those which are not seen. Okay, this is a lot about faith. This is a lot about faith, so we're going to break it down. So faith, it's knowing beyond a doubt that something will be. We know beyond a doubt. It's also described as the substance of things that are hoped for. It's also the substance of things that have already come to pass. So what is the substance of all things that have ever been and are yet to be? That substance is God. God is the substance of all things that has ever been, all the things that we see here and now, and all things that are yet to be. Okay, everything we see in this room was once pure substance. This building itself was once pure substance in divine mind. It hadn't been created yet, except in divine mind. But there was a committed group of members of this Unity Church that came from California Street, where they were renting a building. They knew that this would happen. They had 150% assurance that this would be created, this beautiful building. So faith is described as the substance of things that we hope for. Okay, they haven't been created yet. It's also the substance of all the things that have come to pass. So faith is the activity of God in the mind of the thinker. Faith is the substance that creates everything, and it's also the divine activity through us. So we're thinking it into creation. Somebody had to think about this church being here. Okay, somebody had to think about this beautiful guitar. Like, who would create these beautiful instruments? It was in mind first. So it started off as a divine idea. So faith is substance, but it's also evidence. It is also evidence. It is proof that something will be. It is the proof. Now, if you think about a time that you have had faith, 150% assurance, you knew something was going to happen. You knew it, and then it did. But right there, when you were in that feeling of knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt, because you know it beyond a shadow of a doubt, because you have all this assurance, that's the proof that it will come to be, because you had the feeling. Then we just have to keep doing the feeling over again. Okay? But because we've had that feeling is divine activity. That feeling is signaling that we're pouring enough love and energy into our desired outcome, whatever outcome we want to create. We're feeling it, and right there, it's the power of those feelings, the knowing, the assurance that comes with us that is alerting us, this is a true story about to be made manifest. It's the proof. So we feel the faith, and that's the proof it will come into being. Just like if you've planted a garden and the seeds are germinating in the soil, you just know they're going to grow. You're not out there every day digging up those poor little seeds and yelling at them, "Why aren't you growing? I love you so much, grow." Right? You're just sitting and staring at your garden and watering it, nurturing it, pulling the weeds, getting the dog out of there. Okay, you're nurturing your garden, you just know. Okay, so for it is through faith we understand that the worlds were created by the word of God, so that the things which are seen came to be from those which are not. There's a lot going on in this faith. There's a lot going on. So faith is substance and it's proof. It also gives us understanding to remember that the worlds were framed by the word of God. Okay, the word of God. In the beginning, let there be light. Let there be light. In the beginning, there was a declaration. In the beginning, there was the word, and the word is divine intention and divine activity. That's the definition of the word. Okay, according, the word as it's used in the Bible. Divine intention and divine activity. Okay, that is the power of the word. So divine consciousness is what created this universe through an intention. Through intention. This is not crazy random stuff. Right? Isn't it just so interesting to look and see how all these planets are aligned so perfectly and they're in a stable orbit? We are in a perfect orbit at the perfect distance from the sun. We have a perfect atmosphere that protects us from the rays of the sun. Some of those rays aren't good for us, but our atmosphere protects us. There is perfection in all of the universe. So it's through the word, through a divine intention and then divine activity that all things were created. Everything that we see in our life was created with divine intention and divine activity. You are divine intention and divine activity. You were planned. You were intended for this life. Okay, your soul individuated from source energy, a perfect expression of you, emanated from spirit, divine activity, walking around in this physical body. Now, everything we see, somebody spoke these all into intention, or into being, okay? Somebody set the intention to put a guitar together. Somebody set the intention for this beautiful building, and they didn't get, like, a tire. They got a building because that was their intention. They didn't create anything else but what they intended. Okay, the person who built this guitar got a guitar, not a microwave oven, because the guitar was what was intended. So faith is the substance of all that we intend to create. Okay, so it's substance, it is divine activity. There also has to be intention to make it faith, to give it that power. This is why faith has so much power. It is the activity then of bringing our intention from divine ideas into this life. And when we're feeling it, there's the proof that it's happening, the proof that it's coming. So faith contains many elements. It is a lot more complicated than I ever thought. It's the substance of everything that will be created. It's intention, and then, so our mind is the builder. We have to intend something to do with all of this substance that we're given. There's proof. It's the proof when we are feeling it so powerfully. And then faith also is giving us divine direction, so we know what to do next. We don't know what we don't know, and we don't know everything. So an experience that we want to create in our life, if it's divinely intended, we won't know how to do any of it, because then we have to rely 100% on source, 100% on God to bring it into our life, to let go, to surrender, to do something that we have never done before, to create a new experience and be divinely guided through the whole thing. So that's what faith is. Faith is divine activity. It's not just like, oh, well, I have faith, everything will work out. It's really not just that. Okay, it is a divine activity. Okay, think about your house has electricity flowing through it to do all these things in your home, right? Electricity, you don't just like, well, I don't know, I hope my microwave will work, right? There is a power flowing through your house. When it's used, you can do all kinds of things with it. This is faith. Faith is also a divine activity. It is an energy, and it is ever available to all of us. Okay, this is why it's said that we are created in the image of our Creator, because as God spoke the word and created the worlds, we speak the word. That's when we set our intention and we create our next experience. We create like our Creator. Creator creates in the whole, the universal, we create in our life. So now we have hope, and we have two kinds of hope. Okay, there's the first kind of hope where we think, okay, I'm just going to wait and see what happens, hope for the best. In this kind of hope, we think that life is happening to us, that we have no control over what is happening. We have nothing to offer to life. We have no way of interacting. We're just hoping that things work out. We hope that what does happen will at the least be tolerable. Maybe it'll be acceptable. But there's no faith when we're just hoping things randomly work out and we don't have to take part in that. There's no faith involved in that. There's no intention in that kind of hope. That kind of hope is like saying, well, I wish I had a garden. Maybe some birds will drop some seeds. And I don't know, I just hope that would be kind of cool if that happened. Maybe somebody will volunteer to just come make a garden for me. I don't know. Okay, that's hope with no faith. That is hope with no intention. Okay, so then there's the kind of hope that comes with faith. That is a hope that propels us into action. That is the hope where we have the assurance, like we hope for a great experience, but now we also have the assurance, 150%, that it will work out. We set our intentions with this kind of hope because we have to set intentions because we know we're working with life. We are participating with life. Life only randomly happens to us if we're not participating, and we're participants in our life. So we set those intentions. We also know when we have hope and faith together, we know that whatever it is we want, whatever experience we want to create, well, we may not know how to do it. And that's okay, because there's that within that knows what to do, how to do it, and it compels us to act on what it knows. We'll let Spirit guide us. We will let Spirit guide us. And so these are the gifts of the season. This is where we are starting off to express as much light as possible, to really embody the Christ consciousness. We start with hope and faith. That's where we start. These gifts are contagious. If you've been around somebody who's really filled with hope and faith, it can be really exciting to be around them because these gifts are contagious. But we cannot give a gift that we don't have. So if we're not embodying hope with faith, we can't give it. So we want to look at how we are feeling hope and faith. This is why we want to look inward at this time of year. This is why we feel the call to look inward at this time of year. We can ask ourselves right now, well, how am I experiencing hope? How am I experiencing faith? Am I sitting around and just hoping that the best will turn out? Or am I actively participating with life? That's what we want to ask ourselves. Am I actively participating with life? That's how we know if we have a gift to share, because we're participating. Now, to share these gifts, what it means is we're walking by faith and not by sight. Okay, we've all heard this before. We walk by faith and not by sight. And all this means is that we just don't look at the problems that are happening in our life. We don't look at all those and focus on the problems. Instead, we turn inward. Okay, we turn inward. We align with our higher being. Okay, we align with the Christ consciousness. And then we can look out into the world through our God eyes. We look out into the world through the Christ consciousness. We look out into the world with love and compassion and non-judgment. And that's where we are solution-oriented, and that's where we are inspired. That's where we receive those good ideas. So it's not about our physical eyes. Our physical eyes, we see all the problems. And then we get stuck in those problems because some of them, the longer we stare at them, we know this, the longer we stare at a problem, the bigger it gets. Okay, so we are going inward first. Then we're seeing God as everywhere present. And that means that God, source, divine activity is present within the problem. Divine activity is present in every situation, in every event, in every person that you love, in every person that you cannot stand. Divine activity is everywhere present. But this can be hard. It can be hard to walk by faith and not by sight. Now in Proverbs, written by a very wise man, King Solomon, he gives a little simple 3-step process to be able to walk by faith, not by sight. He says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Rely not on your own wisdom. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Okay, so step 1, we'll look at the metaphysical interpretation. Step 1, trust in the Lord with all your heart. This means surrendering to Spirit, having faith, seeing God as everywhere present, right? When we have faith, we're setting that intention to create something good in our life, right? So we have faith because we can look around and say, all of this was once an intention, Like everything I see in my world was once just an intention. And if it's been done, it can be done. And that means me. Okay, that means me. Do that with me. And that means me. That means me. Okay, so we trust in the Lord with all our heart by having the faith, knowing if it's been done, it can be done. And then rely not on your own wisdom. Okay, remember, we don't know what we don't know. When we are relying on our wisdom, we are focused on the problems. We're focused on the problems. Now, a funny thing happens when we become problem-oriented and we're really oriented on the problem, we become problem-determined. We are determined, and we're going to keep seeing this big problem, and we are determined to convince everybody in our life what an awful problem this is. And so now, what do we have? A bunch of people pouring energy into a problem, giving that problem like so much love and attention. It's just getting a ton of energy, all right, so it can just keep growing and being stronger. That's what happens when we become problem determined. To not rely on our own wisdom is, again, that call to go inward. Okay, to remember, okay, wait, God is everywhere present. That means God is in that big problem I'm looking at right there. So, okay, well, I'm going to stop staring at the problem. I'm going to go within and trust what it is that works within me. I don't know how to deal with the problem, but God is bigger than anything in its way. I turn inward. I become solution-oriented. I become inspired. I become divinely directed. I will be given some small step to take, and I will take it. And then I'll be given another, and I'll take that. I trust what works through me. I trust that it knows what to do, how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. So we have faith. We don't have to know how to do everything. In fact, it's better if we don't. It's better if we can admit that, because then we'll be divinely directed to be in the right place at the right time. So next, in all your ways acknowledge him. And again, that's just remembering God is everywhere present. We acknowledge God is everywhere present by looking at the person that drives us crazy, or looking at this event happening, or this situation. It's like, whoa, divine activity is everywhere present. Divine activity is everywhere present. Then the culmination of that, if we follow those 3 steps, have faith, go within for divine direction, see God everywhere present, and then we shall be divinely directed. Right? That's the culmination. He shall direct your path. You shall be divinely directed. You will be told the next step to take. That's what happens. So we just have to acknowledge that. We acknowledge it and we move forward. Okay, God is everywhere present. God is all things that's ever been, ever will be, and that means us. Each one of us are a divine expression. Within every situation, within every event, God is present there. And all we have to do is remember that. We just start there. We just start remembering that thing. Because then we are in alignment with divine truth within us. Then we are moving into our Christ consciousness. Okay, when we can remember those things. I know I share that over and over again. The last 60 seconds of whatever I shared, right? That's the thing I share every single Sunday. The reason I share that every single Sunday, I know for myself, I have to tell myself that 5 times a day. Okay? This is the thing. Remembering this is what gets us out of that black hole. Remembering this thing and acting on it, that's the thing that gets us out of the darkness, out of the fear, out of being stuck in the problems, out of the drama. Because, we may commit to not being problem determined, but there's so many people who are. There still are so many people who are. So that's what we focus on. God is all things. And that means us. And that means also everywhere present, every situation, every event. That's where we always start. And then we do that, and we actually are sharing the gifts of hope and faith. We share. Well, first of all, we share as an example. I shared a story about my son a couple of weeks ago at 3 years old, wanting to learn to jump in the swimming pool, right? And that talk was all about courage. But you know what inspired him to want to jump in the pool in the first place? He saw other kids doing it. He did not know it was a possibility. He didn't know people jumped in pools until he saw other kids doing it, and that's when he wanted to do it, right? They inspired him. They inspired him. That's what happens when we are an example or someone else has served as an example. And it's inspired us. And we thought, whoa, if they could do it, well, I could do it. I could do some version of that that's exciting and fun. So being an example is like the greatest thing we can be. Just being that example. But we have to make sure that we've cleared the way for our light to shine. We clear the way, right? And we can remember this is the purpose of Advent, is the reminder every day. Okay, am I clearing the way? Am I in hope and faith? Am I in hope and faith? Okay, are you believing in all your good and all the possibilities? Or are you stuck in limitation and lack? And if you are, it means it's just, that's not part of your divine programming. That's a thing to get rid of. That's a thing to move past, right? We weren't designed to stay in limitation. We were designed to be in hope and faith. So it's easy, it actually is easy to get back into that because it's part of our design. We just have to practice it. Then we can have hope for others. Because actually we are not acknowledging the Spirit in somebody else, divine activity in someone else. If we look at their situation and we think, oh, good heavens, man, they are screwed. Man, that's some bad luck they had. Man, I hope things just work out. No, we want to have hope for somebody else by saying, you know, the activity of Spirit is just as vigorous in them as it is in anybody. Right? The activity of Spirit is just as powerful in them as it was in any person who ever did a fun, exciting, loving, compassionate, joyful, big, happy thing. The activity of Spirit is present in every single struggle. It's there. And if they may not see it, we may be the only one who does. To call forth the light. We may be the only one who can call forth that light for them. And that is how we give hope to someone else. Okay, giving the gift of hope and faith to someone. That is us shining our light for other people to see. You've heard of Clarissa Pinkola Estes, right? She wrote a very famous book, The Women Who Run with the Books. Women Who Run with the Wolves. I run with the books. She runs with the wolves. She says, one of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. That turns you into a beacon. Okay, struggling souls catch the light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. We're a beacon. When we are embodying this light, we are a beacon for others. We're a lighthouse on a dark, stormy night for somebody. And the good news is that you were actually divinely designed to be a beacon. You were divinely designed for that. So it'll come natural for you. You don't have to worry about what to do or what to say. For what created you will guide you the next thing to do. Okay, so you're a beacon. We give the hopes and faith. We give the gifts of hope and faith so that we are also embodying our own Christ consciousness. We embody our light and we share our light. And we add more light to the world when we do this. And this is how we create heaven on earth. So until next time, remember that you are the activity of Spirit in a body. You are the heart and hands of Spirit in this world. You are a soul designed to do all this stuff. You are a soul designed for growth and goodness. In everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is.
Amen.
Thank you.